Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna be featuring something a bit different. I'm posting this game on YouTube because my Twitch chat really wanted me to make a commentary of this game, which I agreed to do because this game is so absolutely mind-bogglingly stupid. The matchmaking is pretty much exclusively tier 10. There are a few exceptions, but in general it's pretty much tier 10 matchmaking only. I'm of course playing Battleship Montana in this case. As I mentioned, I'm trying to make a tier 10 Battleship comparison vid, and I realized I actually needed some more Montana footage. So I brought out my trusty Montana to get some footage in it so I can actually reinforce some of the arguments I'll make in my best tier 10 Battleship commentary and so forth. The Montana is of course the American tier 10 battleship, a very strong, very versatile, universally strong against pretty much everything type of battleship. And if you're wondering why are my tracers colored, it's of course because I'm running Admiral Halsey on him, which gives you significant bonuses if you manage to get a Confederate or a double strike achievement. So, first things first, Amag gives a significant amount of broadside at the start, he gets killed. Sadly, our DD manages to get killed as well. What I want to pay attention to on the minimap right now is of course the D cap. My Yu Yang, my Montana and my Bismarck are all heading to D. And there's no enemies there. We could see that there were no enemies there a good minute ago, actually a good 2 minutes ago, because all the enemies were spotted, but my team still decided to send the whole quarter of our team, including 2 tier 10s, they decided to go all the way to D, where they will of course achieve nothing at all. Even worse is that the Moskva is now looking to follow them as well. So that's a third of my team, pretty much completely out of the battle, and another third. That's a third of my team, and a quarter of my team has already died, and we're only 4 minutes into the game. So we've lost a quarter to enemy kills, and we've lost a third to going to D. So the beginning of this game is already quite questionable. However, popping the spotter plane, I see the Minotaur getting briefly spotted as he inches forward a bit too far, and I'm able to lob my shells past the island, and I managed to score a devastating volley on him. That is of course one of the strengths of the Montana, that incredibly powerful alpha strike, fairly accurate alpha strike as well, and with the spotter plane to be able to lob them over islands and such, that is a quick kill, and we're started to somewhat equalize the score. Well, another Des Moines is pushing out, being harassed from the other side. I want to finish him off, of course, because getting rid of radar cruisers is so very important, even though, to be fair, 2 of my DDs have already died. And with that kill, with the second kill killing the Des Moines as well, I have actually managed to equalize the score, in the sense that both teams have lost a quarter of their ships. So, pretty okay start. I'm being HE spammed quite a bit here by the Hindenburg, by the Charles Martel and so forth, but I actually quite like my position because I have this unique firing angle that, yes, they might shoot me, yes, they might farm a fair bit of damage on me, but the return volleys I can do are going to be so punishing. The Hindenburg doesn't get Citadel, but he still hits 18k damage. Double fire, so I use my damage con. I've killed so many of their firepower, and I'm confident this Hindenburg will die quite soon, so I'm not too worried about the follow-up fires in this case. I am of course kiting away, because I know there's at least, I know the gearing is there, their DD, and our Yu Yang actually manages to kill the Shimakaze, because the Shimakaze for some reason decided to fight the Bismarck and the Montana, and everyone at the enemy team, or everyone of our team at D, they decided to pick a fight with them for some reason. So the enemy's questionable gameplay actually worked against my team's questionable gameplay quite well, and we got a bit of an advantage there. The problem is of course that they're still at D, which is not the most optimal thing. I kill off the Hindenburg, and at this point I have killed three cruisers on this side. I set my sights on the Charles Martel. The Hindenburg was of course the bigger threat, and I chunk him for a good 21k, as he doesn't angle, he doesn't dodge, he doesn't really make too many evasive maneuvers, and doing that against the Montana is of course the very last thing you want to be doing, because once again, this firepower is quite disgusting. I'm waiting for my reload quite patiently. Is he actually going to evade? I see no black smoke, so I don't take any massive lead. I take a fairly short lead, in fact. Is he actually turning? He tries to turn in, but he waited way too long. Basically, when you dodge in a cruiser, the second you see the muzzle flashes on the battleship, that's when you want to start turning. This guy literally waited until he saw the shells in the air, and then he tried to turn. And that is far too late to evade those volleys, especially if someone knows where they're shooting. So with a quick Double Citadel, I actually kill him as well. And at this point, I have 4 kills. So that's a third of the enemy team I've killed on this flank. So I would say we have a, on my side, pretty strong start. But my team has also done a very good job of dying in the meantime. It looks like the Montana is actually turning. So I shoot a predictive volley where he is intending to go. And let's see how our volley looks. And it actually looks very juicy indeed. I managed to score a triple Citadel, which is 40,000 damage on him. So at this point we're a bit over 7 minutes into the game. And I have 176,000 damage, 9 Citadels, and I've killed a third of their team. Now, you would think, wow, well, Flamu, this should be a very easy win, right? I mean, you've given your team such a massive advantage. This should be a very comfortable win. There is no way your team could possibly fail to capitalize on such a massive advantage you've given them. Whoever thinks that has clearly never played World of Warships. Because anything is possible in World of Warships. First of all, the gearing, you note that I'm spotted, I stopped firing, and I realize I'm still detected. Which means that the gearing is actually pushing me. So I have a gearing chasing me around. In one way, this is of course a bit annoying, because Montana versus gearing struggles quite hard, because if I don't have any spotting, all he needs to do is continually torp, and he will eventually land some good torps on me, because gearing torp concealment is so damn good. So he's obviously he's hunting me. This makes my life very, very difficult. On the other hand, it's 6 versus 6. My team has managed to lose a ship again. I still have a Yu Yang sailing around in their spawn. I still have a Bismarck sailing around in their spawn. Somehow our Montana managed to die at D. Don't ask me how, considering they were 3 versus 1 against the enemy Korfurst, and he still died to the Korfurst. But on the other hand though, it's their only DD. And as long as our DD, our Yu Yang, is completely useless in the enemy spawn, if I can keep their gearing occupied in our spawn and make him just as useless, if you're wondering what I'm doing by the way, I'm tapping the M key, that's the map key. It gives me a bird's eye perspective and it helps me see where I'm supposed to aim if I want to shoot at targets behind islands when my spotter plane is on cooldown. You basically just tap the M key twice, you start going into the map view and then you abort the animation and you get like this bird's eye perspective. Sadly though, the Montana started reversing just before the volley landed, so I only got 1 Citadel. We did break 200k damage, and here comes the gearing torpedoes I was worried about. I was too focused on the Montana to be actively avoiding. They did come a lot sooner than I expected though, and because of that they're actually not perfect. And instead of trying to evade, dodge left or right, I just use my speed to outrun them as much as possible. I waited quite long before using the damage con as well, and that's simply because I didn't want to damage con instantly, only have to have a permanent flooding on me from the second volley. So at this point we've already established that the gearing is here chasing us, and he's been doing it for a good minute. Still though, if my team somehow, maybe if their Yu Yang stops trying to torp the Hydra ship, maybe I can waste enough time of them, maybe I can waste enough of their time that they can cap C. You see, that seems to be very difficult for my team, capping C. And maybe if I keep the gearing occupied, the enemy team won't get any caps, and this will be enough to give us a win. So at this point, I'm kind of just trying to live and trying to waste time. So we're going to accelerate this, because this is not very exciting. All I'm doing is basically changing course, changing speed, and trying to take some pot shots at targets far away. But in general, I'm just wasting a lot of time. We see some torpedoes. He tries to torp me, of course. I'm still wasting time. I'm wasting time, wasting time. This gearing is, of course, quite stupid to waste this much time trying to kill me. If he had gotten the kill instantly, that would have been fine. But once I started actively evading, he wasted a lot of time trying to get here. Ultimately though, he does finally realize that chasing me around is probably pretty damn stupid, because all I'm doing is wasting his time, and my team finally manages to cap C. After 14 minutes, I mean, they got D for free and there were no enemies in C. The Yu Yang could at any point gone and taken it, but yeah. Yeah, random battles. In the meanwhile though, while I was keeping the gearing occupied, my team has still managed to lose all the advantage I created. I want to keep that in mind though, because I killed 4 people, I got 4 Citadels on the Montana, I basically crippled him myself, I took like a good 50-60k of his health away, so I did more damage and I kept the gearing occupied. So you could almost argue that I pretty much dealt with half of their team, because I kept the gearing away, their only DD, I kept him away from the battle for like 5 minutes or something. So half the team I was dealing with, and my team still has managed to die to the remaining half, and that is quite a depressing experience, isn't it? However, the game is not over. We're 3 versus 5. I'm pretty low on health, having eaten all those torpedoes with the gearing chasing me. But with the gearing disappearing, I of course decide to push back into the cap, and I land a big, 12k volley on the Kurfürst, and I get the Confederate achievement. And of course, as I mentioned at the start of this commentary, I am running Admiral Halsey, and Admiral Halsey gives you 20% faster reload if you get a Confederate. So in this case, I now have combined with my AR, I actually used the improved dispersion, not reload mod, on the Montana. So combined with my AR, I still have a 19-second reload. So I basically have a Republic reload on my Montana, except instead of 8 guns, I have 12. So my firepower is very, very spicy at this point. Seeing if I could maybe take a pot shot at the Des Moines. He's pretty far away at this range. The travel time. Ships like Yamato and Republic are better at these super long range volleys because, well, they don't tend to lose quite as much velocity on the way as you do in the Montana. Still though, worth taking the shot, but it seems like this Kurfürst is just straight up entirely AFK. And trust me, at this point, watching my team, another one from my team, the Yu Yang that was sailing around in enemies, the Yu Yang that did nothing except cap D and then spend pretty much the entire game sailing around in enemy spawn trying to torp a Kurfürst that just used Hydra to dodge the torps, now managed to die. So that was my tier 10 DD support right there. So we are pretty far behind at this point. We are in fact 540 to 700 points, and it looks like unless I get something really big done, this is going to be a loss. I don't have the highest faith in my Bismarck, because that Bismarck is the same guy that sailed through D and then somehow managed to sail back into C after like 10 minutes or something. So I know at this point I will absolutely shamelessly farm this AFK Kurfürst. Like, absolutely no shame whatsoever. We need these points. I'm not gonna let this game turn into a loss after all the effort, after all the work I put in at the start. So I'm just spamming AP at him. At this point though, I'm starting to consider I pushed so far, so close, that he's starting to be a bit too angled. And I'm starting to heavily consider I should switch to HE at this point. And after this volley I do in fact switch to HE, because I'm starting to get a lot of bounces, shatters and things, because the angle is starting to become so extreme. 2 people target me though, and the enemy Kurfürst has actually pushed up and he gets a citadel on me as I'm turning out. More importantly though, I'm suspecting that because 2 people are targeting me, that gearing, instead of going to cap, instead of going to hunt the Bismarck, the gearing is back for me again, and the gearing wants to torp me again. So we're back to our kiting away and running away and basically baiting the gearing into being useless. I do start a double fire on the Kurfürst, and because he's AFK, I know he's going to die. The enemy Kurfürst that's trying to kill me pops up, which is actually pretty damn good news, because even though he's angled, I have HE loaded. So with my fire burning down the first Kurfürst, I finally get my kraken, and we're still behind on points, but my HE volley on the other Kurfürst gives me the double strike, and we get more fireworks as I get the concealment buff from Admiral Halsey. At this point the gearing is though, he seems really upset, really desperate. I'm down to 18k health and he wants me so bad. The fact that he's in the open and gunboating tells me that he's probably torped, so I don't dare to turn and use my front guns. I'm just gonna use my back guns while kiting away, because it's pretty obvious when a DD does this, basically he baits you into turning to shoot. He's probably got torpedoes in the water, and if you turn you're just gonna end up eating all of them. And at this point, well, that's actually pretty scary. Another thing that's bad for me at this point is that my superstructure is completely unsaturated, because I haven't eaten almost any HE damage. So you see that every single HE shell that he lands on me actually does a ton of damage, because he's shooting completely unsaturated superstructure. My prediction on the torpedoes is entirely correct, and I do manage to dodge it. At this point, I need to kill him. Even if it's fine if I die, as long as I kill him. I need to take this guy with me, because if he kills me and survives, then I'm absolutely toast, because then we don't have enough points and there's only 50 seconds left. My dispersion trolls me. The volley before that was bad. I didn't take enough lead. On this one though, my dispersion trolls me and it's starting to get desperate. I really need to secure this kill. 40 seconds left to torps. This one is coming straight for my stern. I won't be able to dodge. This volley has to finish him. Will dispersion finally favor me? It does, and I do kill him off. The flooding kills me, but with 30 seconds left, I do in fact manage to turn this game into a points lead. A 20-point lead, 781 to 760. And now it's just my Bismarck left. All my Bismarck needs to do is angle and kite away. And of course my Bismarck gives full broadside to the Edinburgh and lots of broadside to the Des Moines. Because why not? At this point, why not basically troll me even harder. Luckily though, the Des Moines aims too low and shatters on his belt instead of pinning his upper belt. And luckily there is so little time left that my team can no longer sabotage me, and we actually end up getting a win out of this absolutely insanely stupid match. 292,000 damage, 24k XP, almost 19k free XP. All the achievements except the dreadnoughts and things, not surprising considering I of course died. 10 citadels, 7 kills. Oh my lord. And if we look at the base XP, the number is of course even more depressing because I actually have more XP than the second place multiplied by 2. In fact, it's terrifying. My Bismarck, somehow we ended up second. I can't say that this gameplay was very much second place focused. In fact, I can't say anyone from my team really put in much of an effort this game. I really don't know what my Yu Yang is doing, but luckily our Yu Yang being so potato was kind of covered by the fact that their gearing was so tunnel vision on me that instead of like capping, instead of hunting, spotting the enemy, our Yu Yang and getting him killed, or torping the other ships or getting caps or anything, he spent I think a good 7-8 minutes just trying to kill me, and he died in the process. So that actually allowed us to get the win. So yeah. The level of play I've been seeing this like as of late in this game has truly been something special. Detailed report, not much to say. 860k damage. The AP of course was the raw damage, a bit of fire damage, but not really too much, mostly on the enemy Kurfürst and gearing. A lot of cruisers deleted, a couple of DDs deleted. A goddamn struggle of a game. 54,000 Commander XP. I'm still using the same captain build that I did in my previous Montana commentary. It hasn't changed. I still prefer the tanky build where you run Concealment Expert and Fire Prevention and Superintendent. I still prefer that build, and my god. The sad thing is, we've seen a very steady trend of the level of play becoming worse, so I thought this was one of the dumbest games I've ever played, but trust me, we're probably going to see a lot dumber things than this one. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this very high quality game. And I will talk to you guys later.